This is Private Matters. I'm Max van Praag. Here we talk about thriving in intimacy, sexuality, love relationships, getting close to people. And today my guest is Steve Sisgold. Steve, welcome to the show.
Good to be here.
Yes. So I'm not sure how to describe you, but you just told me that you have a fabulous relationship with a woman you're engaged to. So maybe you can give our viewers some advice on how to how to attract a wonderful relationship, since the show is about. And I know you do a lot of things. You are an artist and a speaker and a Renaissance man. You do a lot of things, but here we're talking about intimacy. So I'd love to pick your brain and ask you to give some advice. Actually, what kind of people in the realm of relationship do you think you can best advise? Single guys, single women, couples that are stuck, the bad boy thing. Where do you think that you could best give advice?
Well, I'll start with the first question, which was about attracting a great relationship in my life. And I think the first place is, for me, I had to really go deep. And you know, my books and a lot of my work is about what lives in our body, those past experiences that we hold on to. And for quite a long time, I was creating relationships from a place of fear or a place of lack. And I finally just got to the place one day, I could feel it in my whole body that, you know, it's time that I actually received as much love as I give. I was one of these guys who just gave a lot and worked hard at it. And I think once I cleared some of that within myself, it was easy. Then, of course, I attracted a beautiful person who saw who I was equally invested in loving me as much as me loving her. And that's how I attracted.
And you were single. You were single.
I was single then, absolutely. And as far as people, gosh, I've led men's groups. I've worked with couples. I do corporate speaking. And I think it always comes down to the same thing, that you know, each of us at times had things happen to us,
yes,
held our breath, formed these patterns, and then we're unconsciously aware of, why do I keep attracting that same kind of relationship here? Why do I keep finding myself in that same place? And I did a bunch of that through my life, so I've been working on myself and helping others.
So right, so you conquer something, you conquer something in your life, and then people come to you, and then they need your help with that particular thing that you just conquered, right? I mean, you have clients, you serve people as a coach, is that right?
Yeah. Well, I think you hit the nail. You know, for me, what I realize is, I made a commitment to express myself fully, and that's a big part of intimacy, as you know, to not hold back who I am and to take a look at what I want to do, whether it was playing music or so whatever it was. Something happened in my life. I noticed things in my body around growing up in a Holocaust survivor neighborhood I told you about. I told my friend Gay Hendricks. Next thing I know, we're off to Poland and Germany, and with a camera crew with us. I was having issues about how does a man live in this world, how does a man interact in relationships. So I announced I was doing men's groups, and it was very successful. So a lot of my own self-journey and exploration has been what I've shared, and then I've attracted people through that. And it's been that journey ever since. Because
you made a commitment to express yourself fully. And this was beyond any particular profession or career, you know, in general. Yeah.
Just to not hold back, you know, and that's where the body came in, to notice. I found a lot of techniques and a lot of people out there were teaching, and I'd be watching or coaching people, and they'd be intellectual. Like, oh, I'm feeling this, and I think I'm feeling that. And I went, something's missing. So when I started to go into the body, I could say, wow, when you said that, my stomach got tight. Let me notice what that is. And the more I explored within and really felt, I'd have all these, you know, connect the dots, if you will, of, oh, that's why I do that. And the more I learned about that, I put it into a book and into workshops and started sharing my experiences with people.
Yeah, you do somatic work, body-centered work, but you're not necessarily certified in a particular school. You just collected your own.
I collected my own, and then I became friends with a couple named Gay and Kathleen Hendricks. They actually came to me as a client for their own work, met them years ago, and we had a great connection. And what happened was they would teach in the morning at their body center training, and I would teach in the afternoon my work, which I just kind of put together. And through that association for years, I actually did become certified in what's called body-centered psychotherapy through the Hendricks Institute. So I actually did and am certified in relationship counseling and body-centered therapy, either for one person, couples, groups.
Well, what do you have going on right now in terms of your work?
Right now I'm doing a lot of speaking.
Yes.
I'm doing keynote speaking. I just came from New Haven, Connecticut. I spoke to a big marketing convention. Took them into their body, took them into noticing their breath. Things like noticing right now, what are you noticing? And they're holding on to their chairs or gripping their fists and they weren't aware of it. And then I teach them things about the beliefs in the body. I'm speaking in New York in November at a big CEO forum. And I work coaching leadership teams and individuals and writing music and writing blogs. I blog for Psychology Today and a few other places. So I'm busy. But again, it's that commitment to what do I want to express? Am I holding that back? And I just kind of move it forward.
So then I should assume that you also embrace and express your darkness. That it's not all light.
It's not, we've all been through a lot, including me, and that's the real power for me when I'm willing to say, this is how it feels, or I'm angry, or I don't like that, or it's bringing up stuff from my childhood, whatever it is.
Yeah.
To be that free is my goal, and to be that free in
even
my
if it's not
relationship.
if it's not pretty.
Even if it's not pretty. In fact, when I get up and talk to a group, I share the not pretties. And I think that's been part of my success, that vulnerability and willingness. It's a model to say, hey, I just shared it, and wow, boy, is that liberating. Get it off your chest. And then I teach people to do that more in whatever setting it is.
So if somebody came to you and they were wanting to claim their darkness, their not so generous side, or a desire to hurt people, or to be sadistic, then you're comfortable. You can.
I'm comfortable with that. It's interesting you bring that up because I do a lot of breath work and release work. I've met men who have been to Vietnam. I've been people on both sides of abuse and so forth. And somehow I've learned to do this loop of awareness that when that stuff's coming up, as long as I'm breathing and feeling and making sounds and expressing whatever with them, it's no problem. I can hold the space for it. And I've had a lot of people work with me and say, whoa, that's a lot to hold. But I don't find it hard as long as I'm breathing and feeling in my own body what's going on in the moment. There's no limits as far as people expressing their secrets. I think it's so liberating for people to be able to say, hey, I did this, I did that. It's okay with me. Good for you for expressing it, maybe getting it out, and something new can happen.
What about edge? Would you talk a little bit about your edge, how you perceive edginess in your life, and especially how it relates to intimacy? Like,
my experience of edge or going to that place that's uncomfortable, as long as I remember to breathe, take a breath and start with that and go, wow, I just noticed when you said that, or I noticed I'm feeling an edge, or I notice I'm feeling uncomfortable. As long as I'm owning it and starting to accept the responsibility for it and share it, I'm free. It's that holding in, that withholding, afraid to share it, that will take me down the wrong route, get me in trouble, close a relationship versus getting closer. My commitment is to be close, not right, and I have to remind myself all the time, here I am going for being right. I'm not getting anywhere. And then once I'll share whatever that is, secret, edge, fear, it seems to clear it and then bring more intimacy into the situation. In anything. I was in sales. I've shared things, hey, this is what's going on for me. And boy, the person feels safe and wants to give me the sale. Same thing in relationships, same thing with clients.
So, since this is a program that's aimed to help people with intimacy and relationship, is your message about self-love, Steve? About really loving and accepting yourself through anything in any moment, if you, the better you can do that, the better you will be. Is this?
Absolutely. No, I think that's a good. Thank you for saying that. That's a really good perspective on it. It's self-love, it's self-awareness, and then it's the willingness and the trust and the faith that by sharing that, whatever it is in the moment, is going to bring a liberating feeling to you and more energy, more creativity. I've helped people break through writer's block, intimacy, lots of couples. I work with lots of couples. And what I notice, Max, is that they're not aware often. Quick story. A guy was blaming his wife for sexual intimacy issues. And all I had him do was stand up and walk towards her and tell her what you're feeling. What are you noticing? And he kept covering himself. You're stopping our sexuality. You're stopping our intimacy. But every time he got close to her, he kept covering himself. So pointing that out and saying, did you just notice? He started crying and realizing, wow, I am afraid. And that took it off of her. Of course, she cried and said, oh, my God. For the first time, he's actually looked at what he might be creating here. And then, of course, their lovemaking, their intimacy, their energy came back. So I use the body for that reflection to say, just notice what's going on when you're projecting or talking or saying, and that'll shift it. So that's a lot of what the work I do with people.
Steve, what kind of advice do you have for a man of your age who is looking for a partner?
Thank you. Well, I know for myself, I had to really get clear on what I wanted in a relationship, and then I brought it back to myself. You know, if I want somebody who's spiritual, am I doing enough spiritual work in my life? If I want somebody who's really creative and passionate about their work, am I passionate? So I did a lot of self-reflection. You know, a lot of people make lists, and what I do with people when I work with them, I go, well, why don't we look at that list and have you look at what you're doing in your own life and see if that's reflecting. Because I really believe that we attract exactly where we are. So if I'm wanting somebody to be fit, spiritual, this and that, and I'm not, I'm probably going to attract the opposite. So that was my advice. What did I have to do in here to become the person that would magnetize the kind of person I wanted in my life? And it worked. I believe in that wholeheartedly.
What is your take on polyamory?
My take is whatever people want to do in their life is great.
Uh-huh.
As a coach, counselor, I've worked with quite a few polyamorous couples. The normal stuff comes up. Jealousy, I was up for it, I was open to it, and all of a sudden he found this or she found this partner. So I just have them breathe through, feel what that feels like, what is it to bring up for you, and is it really what you want? Because some people are totally free with it, and some people have a lot of struggle with it. I'm personally monogamous. I like it. I enjoy it.
Have you made a choice at a certain time of your life to be polyamorous or to try it out, or not really? You've always...
Not really. When I've been with somebody, I've been to the place where I chose a lot of relationships probably for the wrong reasons. And in those relationships, I don't know if I was polyamorous, but maybe I wasn't committed. But once I meet somebody, I feel like we're on a spiritual journey together. It just feels for me that it was a safer space to keep that energy in the container. And if people can take it into another container, and lots of containers, it's beautiful. I think it's up to the individual if they can handle it. A lot of people can't handle it.
It's a choice.
It's a choice.
Yeah.
But then it's also a choice to be able to tell the truth in the moment. I'm jealous, I'm scared, you're going on a date tonight. I think that's the area I found, if I could give suggestions in that area, would be keep breathing and telling the truth about how you feel, because those withholds, those moments of, oh, it's okay, go out on a date tonight, and then the suffering that goes on, wait till he gets home or she gets home, to me, isn't really free.
Explain that a little bit. So somebody is in a couple and they say, I'm going on a date with somebody else.
Right.
And they're not really allowing the feelings, both partners? Is that usually what, or often?
Sometimes in my experiences it sounds like a great idea, and it can be. But then I notice the couples will come to me and go, I got really jealous knowing he was wanting to be with her and not me. And then my birthday came up and he didn't know where to go. So I think those are kind of issues that I've worked with a lot of polyamorous couples about. For anything that makes you happy, makes your heart feel good. And I think it's important to tell the truth about some of the things that come up. Just like in monogamous relationships, It's no different.
Yeah.
Hey, I'm jealous, I'm scared, I want to be open to that. So like you talked about the edge, you'll be like hitting that edge and then trying to avoid it or deny it, I think is going to cause some friction between the polyamorous couple, or any couples.
Right. Yeah. It brings things up for people. But you're not. You're not polyamorous. Yeah. Yeah. You're monogamous.
I would be if I wasn't really into the relationship. I'm not saying that people polyamorous, but I'm really into what we're doing together. I'm really satisfied physically, emotionally, and spiritually, and we're building something together. It's a safe space for us to keep it contained. We're happy with that. I'm not attracted to anyone else, actually, which is strange because I can't say I've always been that way. But I'm really happy physically, emotionally, spiritually with the person I'm with, so I don't really feel the attraction or need to go out of that.
So you have a real message for viewers that you can create what you want in a relationship. That you can. I mean, how long? I mean, how long have you been in
We've been together 5 years.
5 years. Yeah.
And you know what, Max? I've found that when I work with people, I'll have them often say what they want. Since you brought that up, the difference is I'll say, "What did you notice?" And they'll go, "Oh, you know, I said I want to be really open in this relationship." I'll go, "Okay, take a moment and look." See, the mind is saying, "Yes, I want this," but if the body's doing this, then maybe there's another memory or feeling from the last relationship, the past, that's still there. And I think noticing, "Oh, what is this?" and taking the time to figure that out could be free in any relationship. But if we're not noticing and we have a romantic notion of how it should be, but we're not feeling how that feels, I think that's where we get in trouble. So my message is to say what you want and then notice if your body can accept it. You know, the frequency of that desire sometimes will freak us out. And if we don't express that, what's the other person thinking? You know, they're not authentic. So that's really a lot of my work, is to help people say, "Hey, I like that and I'm scared." Ah, thank you. Thank you for that truth. Now I can work with that in any relationship.
Well, what's a source of inspiration for you about intimacy, sexuality? Is there particular teachers or schools or programs that you feel have been very helpful for you?
Well, again, I've been good friends with Gay and Kathleen Hendricks for years, and we've taught a lot, and we've traveled to Germany and Poland, made a film, do a lot of work together. Gay wrote the foreword for my book. So in all those relationships, I mean, we did probably 4 years of workshops. There was quite a bit of teaching and learning in that experience. I don't have any one teacher, but I've obviously read books on Tantra. I believe in breathing together. I help couples look at each other. You know how many couples I've worked with that don't look at each other? They're talking here, they're talking there, and there's no eye connection. I'll have people hold each other and feel each other's breath. I don't necessarily call it Tantra or anything. It's just to me of really understand what that other person feels when you say something. What do you notice? And if they're not looking at each other's eyes, they're not breathing together.
Yeah, connecting.
All that projection and assumptions can go in another direction. So I just found that for me, it's important to be able to take a moment to kind of pause and see what my experience is so I can really be intimate, so somebody can know what's in here versus me kind of hiding it or being afraid to share it.
What do you think our culture needs the most in the arena of intimacy?
I think our culture needs to encourage. I have a son. I encouraged him to express his feelings, even when he banged my car up, even when he did something at school, even if he did something that we talked about that wasn't okay. I've always encouraged him, and he's a pretty liberated, free guy today because of that. So I think our culture needs more encouragement that what you say is okay, even if it bothers me, even if it triggers something in me, it's okay for you to express it. Because that's the energy and the dynamics, I think, of relationships. Have that willingness to say to you, "Hey, Max, when you did that, felt tight in my stomach," or "I didn't like it," or "I was scared." I'd rather have that kind of conversation with people than hiding that or pushing that to the side.
Yeah, but sometimes people put up walls, as you know, and they don't want to talk, or it happens too.
Yeah, well, we all put up walls, and I think what happens is those walls, in my experience, is what creates the disconnection, creates the mistrust, and it's not necessarily about the other person. So imagine, I was actually working with a couple about 2 weeks ago, came out from Chicago, and she acknowledged, I'm putting up a wall right now. Thank you. What do you notice? Why are you putting up a wall? Why do you feel unsafe? What do you need the wall for? What's that protecting? And for her to feel that, embrace that, and share it to him, it's like, wow, thank you. He had no idea. Mm-hmm. So if she puts up the wall and doesn't tell him, he's making up all these assumptions. I always say assumptions are the termites of all relationships. And that once we're able to express what that wall is, guess what? The wall goes away. It takes a lot of courage and faith. I totally understand. Most of us weren't encouraged to communicate that way.
No, that's true. Yeah.
So I would just encourage people to, if your child is making sounds, if your child has a need, not to take a look at, and I've had the most conscious people say to me, oh, I read in your book about that, Mommy, I'm hot. You're not hot. You're not hot. What did that teach the kid? I don't know what I feel. So I've had lots of people say to me, wow, I notice I do that. It's inconvenient, it scares me, but I'm going to try to allow that person to have their feelings and just feel whatever I feel and dialogue versus one person dominating another person that they can't express what they feel.
Have people come to you with sexual issues like impotence, or have you helped people with pure, or it does not happen very often that people come?
People have come to me with prostate issues, intimacy issues, not being able to have orgasms, not being able to get erections, stuff that's going on between the couple. And again, I gave you an example before of that guy who was blaming all the intimacy on his wife, but once he got in touch with what was really happening for him, he realized he had some intimacy issues that he was stuffed down. So yeah, people come to me with all that, and I find that breathing, moving, expressing the truth starts to get that energy flowing, that chi going a little bit. And between couples, that's a beautiful energy. But if one of us is scared, which I've been in a relationship for sure, I've held my body, I've held my lower body, I've kept it tight. And if you're in a relationship with me, subtly at some energy, you're going to feel that. So it's important for me to keep breathing and feeling and telling what I feel. So then I find the erections, all the problems go away.
You and I have something in common, that I also have done a lot of different things in my life as an artist and a self-expressed person, and but I do find more and more that there is purpose, or that there is purpose in certain things, or that certain things really have more meaning than others, and it has not necessarily something to do with talent. It can be very, very accomplished and talented in doing something, but it can be completely meaningless for me to continue to do that, if you know what I mean. Mm-hmm. So what has most purpose for you at this time of your life?
Thank you. Well, I have a granddaughter now. That's extremely exciting. I feel a lot of purpose around family, around building legacy. That's why I'm writing books and putting out products and making my music, so that it can help people. I work a lot because I have a granddaughter, and because I've seen so many children come up with stuff. I'm working on a book around bringing the body intelligence into family, into couples, into families, raising your child. My other passion is just to get up in front of people and get people having energy back in their body, and getting through some of the pain and anxiety that they carry. And I had made a film that was extremely purposeful. That was enjoyable.
Yeah. So but those are very different. Some different things. If you have to go down to your essence, like where do you feel most touched in your interaction with people, where you feel, yes, this is really.
Yeah. I'm most touched when I was telling somebody earlier that they were noticing lizards, and I said, geckos make this interesting sound when somebody tells truth. So I'm most touched when a guy gets up in front of a workshop and says to his wife, I've been carrying this for 20 years. I'm gay, and I've been afraid to tell you. And he starts to cry, and the geckos make sound, and everybody's getting chills and truth bumps all over their body. That gets me alive. That's where I get my juice. When I see somebody willing to get that truth out.
The truth out,
and just be okay with it. Truth. And you know what? His wife loved him up, said, honey, I kind of suspected it. I still love you. Whatever you need. And everybody's crying. That's passion for me. Whether it's a big group, one-on-one, that's what gets me feeling like
a moment of truth and true expression. And,
yeah, somebody got to
authentic.
Yeah, somebody got to get that free moment, and say what they feel and be accepted for it. That's really where I think a lot of our problems go. I call them viral beliefs.
Mm-hmm.
Like, oh, if I tell my truth, I'm going to get hurt. Oh, if I tell my truth, she's going to leave me. I had that one. I had a lot of that. Oh, if I tell my truth, she's going to leave me, because of early abandonment issues. Took a lot to get over that. Can I tell truth and not be abandoned? Whew. I can feel that as I say it. So yeah, that's. Are
you a pleaser, or were you a pleaser? Is that what you?
I was an absolute pleaser. In fact, I have this thing where people call me, hey, can you do this? Can you do that? And I used to go yes, and now I go, let me take a moment and feel into that. And some people think it's weird, but it's okay with me. And I go, you know what? I'm not really getting a yes.
I see. So you're the nice guy. Yeah, you're usually the nice guy.
I've been a pleaser for sure, and probably still have some of that. But it's just through time getting that belief that if I don't please someone, I'll still be loved. If I don't please someone, I'm going to get abandoned.
This is what I want. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's a juggling act. Sometimes I'm sure I hold back or I'll be afraid, and it's that consciousness awareness to go, ooh, see, I call this your thought monitor, because sometimes I could be thinking that, but not realizing it. So to be able to look for a moment and go, wow, I was really afraid. I've done that. In fact, when you talk about meeting people, you asked an earlier question, I used to go to parties and see someone and sit there and go, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. Finally I go, you know what? I saw you across the room, and I was scared, and I just want to share that with you. And it's so liberating. And of course the response I got was, thank you. I don't meet many guys like that. So my message is, just go for it. Just say what's going on for you. And if it doesn't connect, well, what are you going to do? You don't want to be in a relationship where you have to hide and have a mask all the time. That's no fun.
So how can people find you?
Thank you. Well, my website, the simple website, will be onedream, onedream.com. And from there, there'll be lots of instructions. People can take a free body awareness test. I give a free gift, a journey to your life's purpose. So come visit the website. There's a lot of things you can do when you're on there. And
what will you be doing in 10 years? And what will be on your website in 10 years?
Thank you. That's great. 10 years, I would like to be doing what you're doing. I can see myself doing some hosting, just talking with people. One of my dreams that I'm working on is to just do a one-person show where I sing, I talk, I tell funny stories, like on a stage, which I've done plenty of, but really something that puts it all together.
So you're a performer,
Yeah,
very much
and 10 years just to, go out there. I don't know if you know Stephen Gaskin from The Farm. He used to have this thing called Monday Night Class. He would just show up and be himself, and the place would be packed. Or like Ram Dass has done that. I see myself in 10 years just sharing my wisdom, and whether it's on a stage or through products, just continuing to share whatever comes up. You never know what's going to come up next.
I'd love to see your one-man show.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks for coming on the show.
Absolutely, Max. Thank you.
And this was Private Matters. We're talking about thriving in intimacy. I'm Max van Praag. See you next time.
Si vos escrevem, no está a escrever. Si vos esquecem, não está a esquecer. Até o dia que vou voltar. Si vos escrevem, não está a escrever. Si vos esquecem, não está a esquecer. Até o dia que vou